definitely going to be a very, very heated start, I can only imagine. You can use any definition to possibly describe it, especially for a track like Japan where it's that swooping corner to the right, and it's a very, very long, it's almost like half a straightaway from the start-finish line to that first corner. So it's definitely going to get very close, and McCauley and Ford will try their hardest to get as close as they can off the start and even start fighting for the title, with Luca trying to fight for what would be, according to the statistics, yeah, his second win of the season. So again, maybe he's one. Before this race, he was 1-1 with wins and poles, looking to be 2-2 possibly.
Indeed so, and of course the notable component to Luca being on pole, he's officially taken third spot from Dan Cudmore in the driver's standings right now. Of course, there was only a 1 point difference between those two going in. And so, yeah, we've already seen one shift in the standings. Will we see another? Of course, you know, it has changed a little bit, so to speak, with Darcy Ford getting a bit more of a cushion now over Corbin McCauley with, again, that 10-point edge. And so that'll go into the books officially as 558 to 548 here for Ford over McCauley. And so if McCauley, for instance, was able to win and get the fastest lap, that's 44 points right there. So if we count down from that particular point, let's get Darcy Ford's projected finish here, or where he would have to finish in order to end the year as the driver's champion. Again, let me just pull that back up here. I think it's, oh no, wrong folder. That doesn't help. Oh, also doesn't help that my color commentator can't see what I'm seeing. So now the virtual camera is back up, as it looks like Luca is winding his way through the field, or through the final couple corners. As we do that, we should probably play the Japanese national anthem as the field kind of wraps up here. 5 lights and away we go. Looks like Colby Luca's gotten a decent start off the line here. As looks like Darcy Ford's done the same, so it looks like everyone's holding station into the first couple of corners. Notably, again, 27 laps here. Tonight it looks like the majority of the field, or at least the top 5, all starting on the mediums here, so not really a whole lot to play for in the terms of a tire advantage. But again, that little bit of a disconnect that we had on that end, that gave us enough time to pull up the math components of our Drivers' Championship here tonight. So again, 10 points the difference now between Darcy Ford and Corbin McCauley at the top. So again, if McCauley was to win and post fastest lap, 44 points. If Darcy Ford finishes 4th or better, no, he might actually still have to finish 3rd based on number of wins, as a matter of fact. So call it a podium finish required here for Darcy Ford, because 4th would put him in a tie, and then I believe it goes to wins after that. So a little more pressure here still for Darcy Ford still to get the job done, and there's still a window for Corbin McCauley ultimately to figure it out. But right now, Colby Luca's the man with all the answers. Here as he completes the opening lap of 27 here at Suzuka.
We already the top three in a bit of a 1.2, 1.3 second gap together as Darcy Ford is really fighting behind Colby Luca if you're looking at it from Macaulay's perspective.
Which we are now.
We saw there on this. We saw there on the start too. I believe someone got a little bit loose qualifying in like 4th, 5th or whatever, and they kind of were stuck in the middle back there, fell back. But yeah, Macaulay got a warning to start off in the first corner, already exceeding the track limits, and he also did there too a little bit, and that's not going to work out right there as he's got a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to work out. It looks like he's driving it pretty hard so far to start off. Might want to take it a little bit easy as we still have like 25 laps remaining in this one, and Ford looking to drop back just a little bit behind Luca there. Luca's got the speed so far, and Ford has been fighting hard behind him. But they remain together in kind of a second gap behind. Macaulay now falling like 2.2 seconds behind the leader, Luca. And as you were mentioning there too, yeah, there's plenty of different scenarios that could happen in terms of how we decide this championship. We're gonna have to be patient and wait until the end to figure things out. But the one thing I'll say, let's just have fun and be grateful that we're at least being able to finally, we're able to broadcast something in some form. At least we're getting the driver perspectives and all of that, and might as well try to cap off a good ending of some kind after all the shenanigans we've gone through in this 3rd season of the Canadian eMotorsports Network Formula 1 Series.
Indeed so, as we've now got a 3rd driver view up in the form of 5th place Jason Butler, who now has the benefit of DRS as he tries to catch up to Dan Cudmore here at the start of lap 3. And Cudmore, he might have to do a little bit of defending here, but it looks like he'll be okay for the majority of this lap. Now, of course, he's not close enough to have DRS on Corbin Macaulay himself, down there in 4th place, that being Dan Cudmore, of course. As you mentioned, definitely a little bit of a gap opening up between the top 3 as it stands right now, but again, none of this is helping the title challenger in the form of Corbin Macaulay at this point. As again, it's still Colby Luca leading this one. We'll bring it back to his perspective. And that gap between himself and Darcy Ford up to about 1.7 seconds as it stands right now. And we'll see if Macaulay's able to try and claw a little bit back. Not quite, and he's outside of the DRS range on Darcy Ford as well. But if there is anyone in the field to potentially look at to do it, as Macaulay definitely went deep into that final chicane, had to do a little bit of a correction. He'll lose a little bit of time there. But of course, again, he did pick up the win here at Suzuka in Season 1, one of his 10 victories that year as well. So definitely, a guy who enjoys the track on a good night. It should be noted, again, he is battling as hard as he can through something right now, but just trying to put the pedal to the metal here, so to speak. As again, maybe, perhaps starting to feel the effects again. That early 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits definitely not helping the number 71's cause so far. And speaking of a cause not being helped, it looks like Jason Butler's just been overtaken here by Ty Higginbotham, which will only help Atlantic Motorsports' cause as they look to wrap up the Constructors' Championship as Butler goes deep into the hairpin. He's going to lose 6th place to Mike Greathouse as a result. Butler dropping to 7th, and he'll have his teammate Andy Hurdle on his heels here momentarily as they work their way into the spoon curve now. And Butler just content to hold on there as we'll bring the feedback toward the head of the field where it looks like 9/10. Will Corbin Macaulay be in DRS range? Yeah, he's at the line. He'll have that extra little bit of speed going down the start-finish straight, but May not be enough to catch Darcy Ford on this lap. Matter of fact, it isn't. Not a whole lot going on there, as a matter of fact, as the gap only went down by about 1/10 of a second. So Riggs DRS maybe not as powerful here at Suzuka as it is at other tracks, and given the potential difficulty of overtaking in some places, this is not looking particularly amazing.
Yeah, especially at a track like Japan too. There are some risks with overtaking as well, especially we've seen Macaulay have a couple moments of already getting warnings for exceeding track limits and such, and he's going pretty hard behind Darcy Ford at the moment, trying to at least gain something on him and possibly be able to pull away. But yeah, again though, trying to overtake, especially in this scenario where it's fighting for a championship and trying to fight for every little potential detail in the scenario possible to try and get it in your advantage. Like, again, just that mixture of a lack of DRS and the amount of corners where overtaking is just so difficult, especially at this track. It's not extremely beneficial at all, especially in this kind of a situation for Corbin Macaulay. But again, there's still plenty of time for things to roll through, like safety cars could happen. There's still green flag pit stops to roll through. Someone could make a mistake with a speeding penalty or even spin somehow. So again, it's just a game of patience, because oh well, no, he's about to get it right here.
Yeah, on track, sure, there's the move made. But again, the 3-second time penalty, Darcy Ford still net second.
Well, yes, but now the thing is, though, now he has overtaken him, and he does look to have good pace. He can now try and get as far away as he can possibly of him. Though you can see Colby Luca is about like 2.7 seconds ahead or whatever. But if Macaulay can catch up to Luca, possibly, and then be able to achieve just a little bit, couple more seconds of that, then still has a chance here. Again, another track limit warning right there. That's, again, if he starts getting more of those, that's not going to help him whatsoever. And there's a car out of this race. So
that's
it looks like
Mike Nickens who's out, and full safety car deployed.
I was saying there, yellow flag safety cars could happen. We just got one right there.
Indeed we did on lap 6. So I don't know if it's quite early enough to potentially influence early pit stops. Certainly the allure of the time isn't a bad thing, but obviously still early on those tires as well. Because I would figure the mediums probably go about, I'd have to say probably 15 if I had to guess. I missed the little strategy bubble that popped up there in the beginning. Luca is coming into pit lane though. So that's an interesting development from his side. What will Corbin Macaulay do in response? He also comes in but picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding. So what's been not the start he's wanted has only been compounded by another 5-second penalty.
That bad luck has been all over him over the course of the season. You would think like the past 3 Grand Prix, he's scored a win almost every single one of them, which has been an absolute resurgence after what was basically an incredibly unlucky first half for him. Trying to look here at the race day statistics. Yeah, like he's gotten good finishes, like again from the start to now, 8th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 6th, 13th. Like it's just been up and down. He does get good finishes, but the problem always was he was always kind of just getting screwed over by unfortunate penalties, whether it was speeding on pit road or exceeding track limits or just sometimes getting involved in incidents with other drivers. So it's just been an absolute roller coaster. Again though, there's still time. It ain't over till it's over. That's the statement that always has to be said no matter what, because you never know if something may happen to Darcy Ford in any point right there, and hopefully that's not a jinx that I just said right there. So again, there's still time. Just relax.
Indeed, we'll see how this all shakes out. We're only on lap 7 of 27, as you mentioned before, and yeah, still lots of time. Of course, we're probably looking at another lap under the safety car as well, so realistically probably restart racing around lap 9. yeah, still lots to be decided here, although again, things are looking pretty good for the number 64 of Darcy Ford right now as it stands. But again, if it was to end this way, it would be a 13-point gap once you apply the penalties to Macaulay. And yeah, no indication of the safety car coming in this time around, as you can see. So, looking at the top 5 here right now, it is Colby Luca continuing to lead. Macaulay second on track, but obviously with the 8 seconds of penalties not helping his cause. Darcy Ford there in third, again the guy who's looking at a potential championship right now. Michael Dimitrov there in fourth after not setting a time in Q3. He's been able to work his way up the field. Ty Higginbotham rounds out the top 5. And let's just see if I can get more from... Oh, matter of fact, I can get 6 through 10 from Jason Butler's stream. Butler himself is 8th. He's got Andy Hurdle ahead in 6th. Michael Greathouse in 7th. As mentioned, Butler in 8th. Dan Cudmore 9th. Robert Narakaj rounds out the top 10. And again, we've already had the retirement of Mike Nickens from this particular race. And so, yeah, that's effectively a reset of where we are right now with, I think, Cody Cudmore, Darcy Cudmore, and Ivan Reynolds, the other cars on the track. And again, just trying to see if I can find some more info here in real time on what's going on with what would be our normal connection, as we see we're on lap 8 of 27 here. I would imagine we're probably looking at the safety car coming in this time around, maybe. If not now, then certainly one more lap. And again, still no indicator of it. You'd think it would have come up by now, but of course, you know, stranger things have happened. There it is. Just spoke about 5 seconds too early. As, yeah, the safety car is coming in this lap. And so, Colby Luca will have control of the field. And now if you're Corbin McCauley, you just kind of have to go and get it. And just blow the field away like it's been the last 3 weeks. And Luca with the short run up to the start-finish line. We're back to green flag racing here now. And we'll bring it back to Macaulay's feed as he tries to get onto the back of Colby Luca sooner rather than later. And it looks like, yeah, I'd have to say the majority of the fields opted for the hards. So I think we're going to see some long runs here now, Riggs, especially, you know, a couple of extra laps where you're not putting as much stress on the tires. Seems like everyone is trying to go through to the end here at this point.
Thing is, too, we've kind of seen a pattern in races prior to this one this season where we've had, if we've had a safety car early on, then the pattern usually continues on later in the race. We usually kind of get it as a bit of a repeated pattern sometimes, so some drivers might try to also consider the possibility of later on having to go on the mediums or the smalls, depending on when the pattern could end up continuing if it does. But again, too, just I keep staring at that 8S right there, the penalty. I mean, Macaulay has unfortunately gotten over for the past 8 laps, 9 laps, whatever it is here. So thing is, if it ends up going away later on, and like if it somehow goes away in some form later on, then maybe that might be good for him. But it's hard to call right now because there's still plenty of time for things to roll through. But the best Macaulay can try to do is at least gain some momentum and get back up to Luca there to quote-unquote lead laps if possible. But again, Darcy Ford's getting a run on him right behind. You're trying to take it up on the outside here before the first turn, possibly get past him.
And this is without DRS, mind you, because it does take 3 laps after a restart. So Ford clearly with a bit more speed, especially down that start-finish straight. And again, once that rear wing opens next time around, if Ford's close enough, McCauley could have his hands full again. As again, we've moved on to lap 10 of 27 in this one. And again, it is our season finale here at the Japanese Grand Prix, season 3 of our Formula 1 series. And, it's been, a rather entertaining season. It has to be said. The fact that we came in here with a championship battle is certainly enough cause for excitement here, as we'll move on to Michael Dimitrov's camera here for the first time. He's currently running in 4th place, which again would be a net 3rd right now on account of the time penalties to McCauley. And if I go to Jason Butler's stream, I want to see if I can figure out just how far McCauley would fall. So it's 1.5, so it's about 3 seconds between McCauley and Higginbotham, 4.6 to Andy Hurdle, as Colby Luca puts up the fastest lap of the race. So it looks like he would drop down to about 8th place right now with all things applied, as DRS is now able to be applied once again. But it looks like Darcy Ford wasn't quite close enough to do anything about it that time around, as we'll actually get a good view of that battle here from Michael Dimitrov's perspective. And Dimitrov himself would have DRS on Darcy Ford this time around too, if again he's able to maintain that kind of a gap into, again, just the 1 DRS zone here at Suzuka, which you would think a track almost 6 kilometers in length would have more than that, but not necessarily the case, as Dimitrov gets onto the back of Ford there going through the hairpin. And now again, it's another slight crest here into the spoon curve, with again just 4/10 separating Ford and Dimitrov here. That'd be for 3rd place on track. And Dimitrov might actually be able to have a go here as they go through 130R into the chicane. Does Dimitrov go for the lunge now or wait for DRS? I think he pulls the wise move here and waits for the DRS zone, but he's got to get that hammer down. And so, there he goes. But again, not quite close enough to Darcy Ford. Oh, did they just make contact? Though it looked like there was a little bit of a weird interaction between those two. Ford maintains the place. And I didn't see a damage indicator pop up on Dimitrov's screen here, so I think he's probably all right. Meanwhile, a guy who's more than all right here tonight is our race leader, Colby Luca, on lap 12. He's got a little over a second on track between himself and Corbin McCauley in second. Of course, we've kind of spoken ad nauseum already about the penalties that McCauley is looking at here. So ultimately, it's 3.7 seconds between Luca and second place on track, or overall anyway, Darcy Ford. And again, if this result was to hold, Darcy Ford would, of course, emerge as the as the driver's champion, so to speak. But again, we'll go back to Michael Dimitrov here. We'll see if he's able to get any closer to Darcy Ford and get a little bit of a better exit out of this final chicane. And it looks like he's taking a much better line this time around. And so we'll see again what kind of effect that DRS is going to have as Ford moves over to kind of block off the inside, forcing Dimitrov to move to the outside if he was to get close, but nothing doing there. As, again, we technically were told that a pit window was opened up, but nothing really to worry about. Everybody's kind of made their pit stops already. As again, I'm just trying desperately here to figure something out. I wonder if during the pit stop... No, for some reason, the game is deciding it does not want to let me retire my own vehicle, which is weird. And it's weird that we're in this situation here to begin with. As we will try and get some actual spectator action here, but I'm not sure if that's actually going to play out for us.
Maybe me suggesting you stay on track and cause a prank was actually meant to happen, huh?
Well, I mean, I'd rather not think of it like that, because this is, it's not quite how I drew this one up, because obviously I'm not supposed to be on track right now, and as you can see, if we move over to our spectator view, you can clearly see that even though I'm very much well out of the picture, it's absolutely not the kind of situation that I want to have happen here. Good old EA deciding to mess things up here. What a surprise. As we're with Corbin Pauly right now, but we'll go to Darcy Ford as he tries to try and get to the back of him here. Anyway, but still a bit of a ways here to go. As he finds himself a few seconds back of McCauley there and on track second, and again trying to hold off the pressure of Michael Dimitrov, which we have to admit he's actually done pretty well here so far, holding up very capably given the circumstances. And this Ford makes his way through 130R into that final chicane. Again, I promise you the drivers are not having to work that hard, as you can see. As we will go back to Michael Dimitrov here, trying to do anything to claw back the advantage. With DRS only providing minimal help, as you can see. And again, that gap was right around that kind of 1 second mark. But now it's very much fluctuating. Again, I wonder if maybe we're having some issues with timing boards. I certainly don't think Dimitrov's gone off on his own accord there. So I think we're just going to go ahead and call our particular stream unreliable. So let's go ahead and go back to his actual driver stream, where Dimitrov very much still in 4th place, right around a second back, 1.1 back as a matter of fact, of Darcy Ford for 3rd. And again, just looking to potentially, find himself on the podium in the final race of the season, which again, he would anyway in the name of those penalties that you're seeing a little bit further up the board. But always nicer to earn it on track as well, as Dimitrov's found his way right back to the back of Darcy Ford here. So it seems like toward the end of that section, as they passed some ghosted idiot there, I don't know who that would be, wink wink nudge nudge. But yeah, now we're seeing a very real battle here, as we've seen Robert Narakaj pick up fastest lap honors here as well.
There's the pit window.
Yeah, again, the rather meaningless pit window since everyone's gone in. And Darcy Ford, as you see, with a great job of blocking off any kind of lane there for Michael Dimitrov and doing it cleanly.
we can call that the safety car period if that ends up happening here. But yeah, we've been watching Michael Dimitrov and Darcy Ford battling hard here, trying to see who could end up on the podium to end off the season here. That's the thing too. It might be putting on a little bit of stress for Ford, because Ford will want to definitely stay clear of any potential contact or whatever, battling or whatever, because anything close, anything that could happen with other cars, that could seriously cause a catastrophe for him, because right now it's looking like he's pretty much hanging on for the title, although, again, there's still plenty of laps to wind down here. Macaulay has been trying to keep about a second or so gap here behind Luca despite the time penalty. So I guess besides the time penalty, just trying to see if he can make his way up past another car, maybe finish in front of everyone, but not statistically speaking. So yeah, it looks like Ford's pulling about a second ahead now, Dimitrov. So it's just been the gap's been kind of going back and forth for the past couple of laps. It's looking like he'll probably just remain stable unless something big happens here within the final couple of laps to conclude the season.
Indeed so, as we've just concluded lap 16 of 27 here in this one. So 11 to go in this race as we're going to see, are we going to see Dimitrov maybe pit again? We're seeing maybe another strategy call here. He's evaluating his options, certainly, as he's on the back of Darcy Ford, trying to get by him on the outside. The S's, almost contact there in that other window. I'd seen it. I wish I'd flipped it over for everyone else to see it. But yeah, it got a little hairy there in the S's, as again, Dimitrov was having that kind of outside look on Darcy Ford. But again, ultimately, both cars, they remain in one piece. They remain in the correct direction. But Michael Dimitrov not wanting to give this up without a fight. But again, as you can see, there's definitely, the thought of a pit stop coming here for the number 19. Which again, I'm not sure how I would feel about that call if I were him, if he was to wind up going through with it, but I guess we'll find out in a few seconds as they come through 130R. Down in toward the final chicane. The gap's only 3.5 tenths between them. So Dimitrov, he could have had a shot here, and he is going to stay out. So might have been just a bit of a false alarm there for Dimitrov, as Ford will immediately take to that outside line, or even closer to the racing line, as you can see. As again, not really much of a threat from Dimitrov that time around, as they remain third and fourth on track. And we'll go back to Corbin McCauley's stream here briefly, as, that's an interesting development. He's pulled almost 7.5 seconds on Darcy Ford here, which would obviously be a position change, but not enough to get the job done if it was to cross that 8-second threshold. McCauley certainly seems to be finding his speed now, but again, the penalties, they could still wind up being his undoing here. As he makes his way out of the spoon curve onto, again, kind of the secondary straight here at Suzuka into the 130R right about now. And now into that final chicane, about 1.5 seconds separating himself and Colby Luca, who really has been controlling this race from jump. And doesn't feel like he's gonna have any issues here, but speaking of issues, it looks like we may have another retirement here in the form of Robert Narakaj. I haven't seen any indication of it other than, a message that we just happened to see pop up in our Facebook chat. But again, we'll have to monitor that situation as well. As notably, that gap has crossed to 8.5 seconds now, so McCauley officially is second place on track, which would get him a 3 points closer to Darcy Ford, but it would still be a 7-point edge right now if things were to end right this second. And as you can see, McCauley trying desperately to get onto the back of Colby Luca here. That gap down to 1.1 seconds now. But again, the challenge here, Riggs, obviously with, it'll be 8 laps to go at the line. If he does find a way past Colby Luca, it'd be a matter of pulling out another 8 seconds on him to guarantee himself the victory and another 3 points. So
I mean, the way it's running right now, Luca has been pretty much, like you've been saying, Luca's been controlling this race the whole time, and the gap just remains about a second or so. But I mean, I guess the only thing that really matters right now that we're noticing is that McCauley is definitely pulling a deficit over Darcy Ford to try and at least take second place to finish off the season. But again, that would just point out the obvious fact that Darcy Ford is looking like the Season 3 champion at the moment, which again, with how the past 3 Grand Prix have run for McCauley, with that, just again, an incredible run, unfortunately, it's not going to end up working out for him. But again, though, still a strong end to the season regardless. But I mean, there could be in another lap or two if something happens, and you never know.
Indeed, I mean, there's a reason why they conduct the races, of course, because anything can happen. As you see McCauley closing up on the back of Luca here, that gap briefly down to 0.7 of a second while braking in that hairpin. And now into the spoon. Let's see again if any headway can be made here. Again, that gap staying right around that kind of 1 second mark right now, though it is down a little bit lower. Might be finding just a little bit more speed. If you can get within DRS range, again, it's not quite as powerful at Suzuka as it is at other places, but I mean, it's not like it's completely negligible either. And yeah, it's still 1.2 at both the DRS detection point and the start finish straight, as we're now on lap 21 of 27. 7 laps to go in this Formula One Series Season 3 season. As we'll go a little bit further down the field to find Jason Butler down in 8th place, trying to see if he's got anything going on. Like he's just coming up to finish lap 20. He's a little ways behind Ty Higginbotham, and he's got a few seconds on Darcy Cudmore there in 9th. So again, kind of a quiet race there for the 519 e-racing driver and day 1 participant within the Canadian eMotorsports network, as we'll bring it back to Michael Dimitrov here as he finds himself now 2.3 seconds back, or 2.1, excuse me, back of Darcy Ford. That'd be 3-4 on track, and again, that is how the positions would hold now that McCauley has opened up enough of a gap to negate the 8 seconds of penalties. As they come out of the spoon, it seems like things have kind of settled down a little bit, which again would be the opposite of what this driver would want to hear, that being, of course, Corbin McCauley. You'd think he'd like a little bit of extra incentive, and he just got it in the form of setting the fastest lap of the race. So another point to claw back there, so that makes the gap 6 in kind of live scoring terms. So again, if something was to happen to Luca in the last couple laps, yeah, this isn't quite over yet, as you've mentioned a couple of times there, Regan.
I mean, yeah, again, it's gradually going 1 point at a time, basically. Although, again, at this point, it's only like 5-6 laps left at this point. So, by the looks of it, it doesn't look like much is going to happen at this point. There's not really a whole lot to say, But again, the same point comes around. You never know until it's over. I feel like I'm going to keep repeating that point.
Yeah, I mean, again, you still have to keep it on the track. As again, our race leader from start to finish has done an expert job of doing tonight. That being the number 53 of Colby Lucas. He'll come to the line. It'll be 5 to go as he gets there. Still has to negotiate this final chicane first. But again, it's kind of felt like his race to lose to this point. As there he goes ahead and does complete another lap. And again, that gap still hanging around that 1.2 second threshold. As Luca's gonna wind his way around the back marker. And now through the S's here on lap 23 of 27. And again, it just seems like Colby Lucas seems to have an answer for everything, including getting by that ghosted moron. And thankfully Corbin McCauley does the same. And notably, it seems like that gap has dropped under a second here now in this middle portion of the lap. So, Reeds, it seems like this is where Corbin McCauley makes up his most speed over the course of the lap until Colby Lucas seems to pull it back a little bit in Sector 3.
I am curious to question, if McCauley didn't have any of the time penalties, what would that look like on points? I assume it wouldn't do anything, but I'm just genuinely curious.
Right now, it wouldn't do anything because, again, the 8-second threshold, the positions you're seeing are the positions officially.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking there. It might be like a 3, 4, 5 point gap, but really it wouldn't do much. Again, like time penalty or not, it looks like it's not gonna happen here. It's quite impressive to see how Colby Lucas done over the weekend. Unfortunately, we thought McCauley was gonna have possibility at the pole there after looking fast in Q1 and Q2, but again, though, invalidated time lap plus the weather, then the time penalties. It's pretty much kind of, again, the conclusion of the season where we're getting basically a visual description of what's gone on with him over the season. Again, it's just been the roller coaster term from penalties to the weather screwing him over to some incidents. It's just been, it's kind of, I guess in a way, it's kind of like what Lewis Hamilton's gone through after losing to Max Verstappen back in 2021. It's basically been kind of like that, also kind of like a Charles Leclerc in a way, except it's not really that Verstappen versus Leclerc difference in dominance and stuff, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. As I just saw Michael Dimitrov lap, again, that other moron that we've been talking about throughout the evening. And again, for those who might be unfamiliar with the term, I am, of course, referring to my own ghosted car because for whatever reason, I can't seem to exit, but Corbin McCauley, he's looking to enter top spot on the track. Look at that gap just melt away. It's down to 6/10 now, well within DRS range as we begin lap 25. And again, Colby Luca, this would really be the first time on track anyway his position has been under any kind of peril. Of course, you know, the time penalties would work against McCauley if he does happen to overtake him regardless. So, again, seems like it's Colby Luca's race to lose here right now. But, you know, he'd love to be first to get to the line, as well as I think McCauley may have had a little bit of an issue there out of that final S, or at least that little left-hander. And, yeah, trying to make up that gap again in the hairpin. Perhaps knowing that it's slipping away, definitely pushing harder these last couple of laps. And again, he's done a good job of pulling that gap down to below a second. But again, you wonder how much is too much, potentially. But, yeah, we'll have to Gonna see how it concludes over the next couple minutes. As we'll put it back to Macaulay's stream. I moved that one over by accident because, yeah, I was trying to bring the overlays back, not knowing they were already there. But, yeah, 2 laps to go here now. Colby Luca continues to lead this one. And on track, it's effectively a 2-horse race. But again, throw those penalties in. It's been a one-man show, again, from the second the green flag dropped, really. And, you know, Luca was the guy setting the pace in Q2 and Q3. Certainly the only guy to dip into the 130s in Q3. So definitely on merit here, as Colby Luca looks to put the finishing touches on what would be his second victory of the season. And there you see it's basically just clear track ahead here for the number 53. Macaulay not particularly close that time around, headed into the hairpin. And yeah, it's just kind of a matter of keeping it on the track here for Colby Luca, and it looks like that checkered flag will be headed his way soon enough.
Okay, there's been an incident on track resulting in loose debris.
Yes, let's just see if, for one lap anyway, it'll let me bring back spectator just for the ending, basically. Because really that's all I'm looking for at this point. As we have officially begun the final lap of our Series 3 season, as Colby Luca continues to lead, and Corbin Macaulay basically with his best chance here, seeing that kind of slip away now, as we will bring it back to the head of the field. And again, we'll see it from Colby Luca's perspective as we get close to wrapping this one up. Yeah, and there you see a little bit better representation of the gap between Luca and Macaulay. And again, I would not say that is Luca going wide on his own accord. I would say that's a connection thing. Final time through the hairpin. And you know, credit to the number 71. He's doing his best to try and get onto the back of Colby Luca here. Maybe trying to force a mistake. But even if he could do that, I think he'd still need something to go on behind him as well. As they come out of the spoon curve for the final time. And of course, that would happen. Could not get even one lap out of that. As Colby Luca makes his way through the 130R for the final time. And he's got, again, Macaulay fairly close, but not close enough. As we're going to get the run up to the line. It's going to be Colby Luca who takes a well-deserved victory in the Japanese Grand Prix. And again, it's a big win for Colby Luca. His second of the year consolidates third place for him. And Macaulay crosses, Darcy Ford crosses. And as Darcy Ford crosses, there's your confirmation. Darcy Ford is officially the driver's champion for Season 3, and well earned.
Very much for sure here. Colby Luca absolutely dominating this finale of the Season 3 here for the Canadian eMotorsports Network Formula 1 Series. Corbin Macaulay was able to put on a very, very solid gap in the final 10 laps or so to be able to hold on to second place despite the early time penalties that were given to him in this race. And it's unfortunate with how unlucky he's been throughout the whole season to not be able to have a legitimate fight for the title here. But at the same time, though, he was able to persevere with a very good final 4 races, of course, as he did win 3 Grand Prix in a row and was able to still finish runner-up here tonight. So a very respectable performance by him, of course. But again, all the eyes are to Darcy Ford, who is officially a Formula 1 Series champion here